Alright, in this lesson we're going to talk about finding the exact values for the trig special angles. Okay, now, so as a quick review from previous lessons, the special trig angles are 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. And in radians, that would be pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3. Now, these three angles specifically are going to show up all throughout trig over and over again. And a lot of questions will ask you for the exact value. Now, it's easy enough to just type in sine 30 in your calculator and get a number. However, that's an approximation, and what we're looking for in this case is the exact value. So you may say, well, geez, I have to memorize 6 trig functions for these three angles. That's 18 trig functions, and they're pretty easy to get confused. You know, how am I going to do this? Well, what we have is a special little trick, a little diagram you can draw on the top of your paper next to a certain problem, wherever, that will allow you to deduce any trig angle, any trig value for these three functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw two triangles. The first triangle looks something like this, and it is a right triangle. And the second triangle, facing the opposite direction, looks something like this. Also a right triangle. And we're going to, of course, pretend these lines are straight. So, we're going to start by filling in the left-hand triangle, which is going to be a 30, 60, 90 triangle, something you should be familiar with from previous lessons. So we're going to assign 30 there, 60 here, and of course this is 90. And our second triangle is going to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to assign some arbitrary values to the lengths of each of these sides, which is going to allow us to deduce the trig functions for the angles. So starting with the 30, 60, 90 triangle, we're going to assign the value of root 3, 2, and 1. And for the 45, 45, 90, we're going to assign 1, 1, and root 2. So now, looking at this diagram, you can see that we can deduce any of the trig functions for these three angles from this simple diagram. So say we wanted the sine of 30. So sine of 30, and we know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So now we can simply look at 30, look at the opposite, look at the hypotenuse, and we know that it's 1/2. Say we wanted the cosine of 45 degrees. Cosine 45. And we know cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we look at 40, we see the adjacent, we see the hypotenuse, and we know that is 1 over root 2. And then, of course, we would rationalize this and so forth, but we already know how to do that. Now, say we wanted to know the secant of 30 degrees. Now we know secant is 1 over sine, or hypotenuse over opposite, and that would be 2. So as you can see from this diagram, this is a very quick and dirty way of being able to discern all of your trig special angle values without having to memorize all 18 of them. So with that, we're going to end this lesson.